Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this afternoon as we recap what was an interesting 6-3 final against the Arizona Coyotes in Arizona today. Obviously, Mullet Arena rocking with the Oilers Nation vacation trip down there, and it was a good time. Lots of Oilers fans in the building, and a good effort from the Oilers in the third period to win a hockey game this afternoon. We'll break that all down in a matter of moments, friends. But before we get too far, if you are new to the channel, I want to make sure you tune in a little bit more regularly by asking you to possibly hit that subscribe button here on the channel. That'd be greatly appreciated. That said, though, the Oilers, they made us work for it, okay? That's, I guess, the best way to put it. The effort through one was good enough to be up, and that's about it. The effort through two was good enough to be down an extra goal than we were, and then the effort in the third turned this whole game around on a dime, and we end up scoring 4 unanswered in the third period, as we often do this season, to win the hockey game. Now, here's the only thing I have to gripe about that is simply put, you aren't going to win a lot of hockey games in the playoffs if that's your mentality. Get the lead, choke the lead, score 4 in the third. It just ain't going to happen. Thankfully, this afternoon, full marks to Arizona for being in this game as long as they were. And obviously, it was even the Oilers now, or not Oilers now, sorry, 6:30 Ched broadcast. That's what I was trying to go with. Thinking, well, the Oilers are probably going to erupt here in the third period because Arizona's kind of a little fragile, being on a 9, now 10 game losing streak. But at the same rate, too, if the Oilers didn't get in gear in that third period, it would be all over. And the worst part of it all is, again, we're stuck in this same position as we have been since Todd McLellan was the coach in 17, 18, 18, 19, of as soon as things aren't working, you got to change them up because things aren't going to work if you don't. And that's not necessarily all on Chris Knobloch for doing that every game when it ain't working. Thankfully, it works out for him changing things up and we get the win today. That's what I'm grateful for. However, my issue with it is it just seems like everything goes stale so fast. The guys stop competing so fast, and it just seems to just kind of lose its luster almost immediately every time there's changes made. And I can guarantee you, likely we'll see new lines from the past 3 games here in the next game coming up against Boston on, I believe, Wednesday? Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Sorry, today's holiday, Monday. I've been screwing that up all day, but you get where I'm going, right? It's frustrating that despite the success we've had this year, despite the troubles we've had this year, despite everything we've been through in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the Oilers still fall into the same patterns that they have at certain points in the season. Now, that said, to kind of recap everything I just said and give it a positive spin, is we were in that same win one, lose one, kind of weird games, not so great games, right before we acquired Matthias Ekholm last year at the deadline, and it ended up all working out, right? We got Nick Bjugstad in that same time, and it all just kind of transpired into a beautiful kind of run for the Edmonton Oilers that, yeah, fell short against Vegas. Maybe a couple of things playing factors there that aren't necessarily factors right now or at this point last year. But again, you see the value of a guy like Nick Bjugstad would have to the Edmonton Oilers today in the game they played against the Coyotes, in which he had 2 goals. He was a force to be reckoned with, as he always is. Big man, skates strong. Obviously a guy that just you love to have in the lineup. But this afternoon's win comes down to one thing for the Edmonton Oilers that's been missing over the past several games, over the past several weeks, is depth scoring. You look at this, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Evan Bouchard score on the power play. Now, I'm looking at depth scoring as anyone outside of the Oilers' top 5 players in Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, Kane, McDavid, and Draisaitl. Not necessarily saying that those guys didn't get points tonight, but Draisaitl and McDavid get points on the first goal, Evan Bouchard. Then you got Janmark, Kulak, and Desharnais all getting points together to combine for the 2-1 goal. That's Janmark's 2nd goal of the season, Kulak's 6th assist, Desharnais' 8th assist. There we go. All of a sudden, okay, this game might take a turn. Second period was absolutely awful from the Edmonton Oilers. We wiped it off the board, came back with 4 in the third. Kane, yes, he scores the goal, but don't worry about that. That's not what I'm looking at, right? Is who contributed to that? Well, it's Bouchard and Matthias Ekholm that pick up points, right? It's not the big boys. getting the puck into the back of the net. It's Bouchard and Ekholm. And this is an even strength marker. So too is the Zach Hyman marker. So too is the Evander Kane marker. It's Ekholm and Bouchard a second time on Hyman's. And then it's McLeod on Kane with Draisaitl's secondary assist. So right there, you're starting to see all these points piling up for either D-men or for depth forwards. Warren Foegele from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Yeah, 100% is basically the Oilers are going to win 70% of every game they play if Draisaitl and McDavid both record a point. But the other side too is when you get that much D scoring, when you get that many forwards that aren't regularly part of the offense involved, you're going to win hockey games too. And that's a large reason why the Edmonton Oilers this afternoon were able to turn the tide against Arizona, is everybody got the jam going in the third period. They decided they wanted to win the hockey game, and that's exactly what happened. When the Oilers want something, they can get something, no problem. And that's exactly what happened this afternoon against an Arizona team that, for the most part, is quite clearly fragile at this point of the season after having a good start and now falling pretty much right out of the picture. By the way, I've buried the lead as I'm about to leave, friends. The Oilers are 1 point back in the standings as of the end of this game against the Vegas Golden Knights for second place in the Pacific Division. So I will tell you how much that would mean for us to win that spot in the division. If not, right, this 1 of 5 games we had in hand on the Canucks, they lost today. So now all of a sudden we're starting to make ground. And yeah, we're a ways back, 13, 14 some odd points away from the Canucks. But end of the day, you start making ground in those 5 games in hand and the Canucks start losing a handful at a time, it could very well turn out to be a good run through March and April for the Edmonton Oilers. Friends, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. I guess realistically, Stuart Skinner as well, to touch on him, he had a struggle through the first 2 periods of the game, but stellar in that third period when he had to be, enough to backbone a victory for his team. And again, another victory in which Stuart Skinner doesn't necessarily have his best, but he gives the team, despite that, a chance to win the hockey game. And the Oilers reward him for that by coming roaring in the third period with a victorious effort against the lowly 23-28-4 Arizona Coyotes. The Oilers now, 33-18-1 on the season? That is insane. That we have 19 losses, and I think we actually have less losses this year now than the Canucks do, to be honest with you. So, wow, this season and its turnaround has been absolutely wild. By the way, the Oilers have won 2 games in a row. Friends, what do you got? So I guess what I'll ask you here before I finish up shop, what do you got in this game? I know there's going to be a whole bunch of complaints. There's going to be a whole bunch of excitement. But the Oilers finish off 6-3 victory, and I'm sure there's a lot to share in the comments section below. Friends, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. As always, I am up on out of here.